Hi everybody and welcome to Wheelie Tropicals. Today I'm bringing a plant haul, one of my favourite videos to make because it means I've got new plants, right? So it's a video that I really enjoy making. It was kind of inspired recently by me walking out to the garden and seeing this, which is massive bare patches. Granted, in summer, this thing behind me, Doosia, is absolutely full to bursting point. There's hostas and stuff that are along the floor. So there actually isn't a lot of room there. I was watching Tiki Tropicals video recently and the garden is really inspiring, but it also kind of afterwards I sat there thinking his garden looks fantastic all year round, whereas mine looks like this. I made the mistake probably a lot of beginners do, and like I said before, I'm not a gardener by trade. I went to garden centres and I bought just things that are beautiful, like the dahlias, the cannas and things like that, and you throw them in the summer, they look absolutely fantastic. But then when you're walking through in winter on the way to the greenhouse or wherever, and I'm looking around and thinking, where's half of the garden gone? So I brought some bone hardy tropical looking plants that I'm going to use to fill some of these areas and maybe move some things around so the gaps aren't as significant as they are. So let me know in the comments if you bought any of these or if you're looking to get any of them as well. But yeah, without further waffle, let's show you what I got. Hi to the very first plant up today. Was a comment from Steve, who reached out to me on one of the last videos that I did, which I did a bit of a cry for help at the end, saying if anyone's got any suggestions to get rid of some of these bare patches, let me know. I think he was one of two people to leave a comment, so not many of you make it to the end of the videos. However, this was an absolute great shout. This is the Aucuba Japonica February Star. I am from Birmingham, so I struggle with English most of the time, let alone Latin. So if these sound similar, I'm going to put the names on screen anyway, so just allow it for now, yeah? The variegation on these, look at that one's got half leaf variegation on that one, spotted, full variegation on it. These are evergreen shrub. These are often called the spotted Japanese laurel. These are from Eastern Asia, from Japan, Korea, Taiwan. Unlike a lot of the houseplants, the variegation on these ones actually gets better with the shade rather than the sun. I know with a lot of alocasia, it depends on how much sun they get, how much white and stuff that they can get on the variegation with those. These are the opposite. They're grown over there in the kind of woodlands, shaded woodlands kind of area. With this one, I'm very lucky because there was a note that I made, which was on the female ones, you can get little red berries. And there's one right there. Not sure if these are good for the birds or whatnot, but I don't think I've had a berry last more than a couple of minutes in our garden. At the back there, you can normally hear them. There's tons and tons of birds and they eat absolutely everything. So it's rare I get a free seed in the garden, to be honest. So that one is the female version of the plant from what I understand online. It needs the male to pollinate in order to get the red berries, is what AI was telling me. The size of these can get to 2 to 3 meters tall and 1.5 to 2 meters in spread, so I can get to a nice decent size. Very, very hardy plants down to minus 15 C or 5 Fahrenheit. However, I did speak to Jose, who's from New Jersey, and their winters over there are a lot more extreme than ours, and he has one outside there, so I am not concerned about this at all. I'm going to label this as literally bulletproof hardy on there. And like I say, it's beautiful to have a nice little pop of colour, as everybody says, to put into the border, something nice and unusual. So I bought 2 of those. These were from Bluebell Arboretum, which is where I know George has also just bought some trees for his new garden expanse over there as well. Cannot fault the service from them. These plants came really quickly, processed really quickly, and not a blemish on any of the plants. Survived the trauma of going through the post as well with not a mark on them at all. So very, very much recommended. Without that, on to the next one. So with this one, I bought these from Gardening Express, which I know received mixed reviews from what you can see online. However, I did a big order last year. It's about £200 odd. I never had a problem with any of the plants that I ordered from there. And again, to be honest, the same with the order that I've done today. I know obviously it depends order by order and things like that as well. But without further waffle, this was one that I picked up because of a walk around that George did. I've already referenced George once in this video. However, I did build a lot of this plant list through looking at the videos from George's walk around. So this was one that he did over at Shane's. This was the Viburnum Davidii. This one again is native to Western China. So there's a bit of a theme with these plants. And what these are wicked for is because they only grow between about 1 metre between 0.75 in a metre tall and 1.2 to 1.5 metres wide. These are good for kind of what he's done. He's planted them in front of his palm trees to get rid of a little bit of the kind of base and create like a nice little evergreen plant around those areas. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a live example of that now. So in front of my palm tree at the moment, you can see there's a massive gap there. If I plonk this in there now, completely eaten the space, as you can see there. So if I pull the camera back up so I can show you the other one that I bought. This one, the pot is absolutely knackered on that one, but that's fine. So these get small clusters of white flowers in spring. If they're pollinated, they can form like blue, kind of black berries on there as well, which should be good for the birds as well. As you can see, very, very dense foliage. I can almost hide behind that. And like I say, minus 15 to minus 5 Fahrenheit again. So these are absolutely bone hardy. These can take full sun to part shade, slow to moderate growth on these, and they're great for the front of the border. So I will bring the camera back down there now. So as you can see down there, very, very dense. And that's exactly what I'm looking to do. I'm trying to get rid of some of these holes that I've created through having to dig up the cannas and things like that as well. So I think that'll look absolutely fantastic. Granted, not those there, that was just for demonstration purposes. However, it doesn't actually look too bad now I'm looking at it, but I wouldn't put both together. Without further waffle, let's on to the next one. And who said there was no production value in any of my videos? I've moved the camera twice now. This is the Clematis Armandii, and what this is designed to do is to eat the fence behind me. As you can see, it looks like something from Jurassic Park. It looks like we're trying to keep the Tyrannosaurus Rex out on their side, because it goes up about 1 metre on there, so it's about a 6 foot fence on their side. It's about 10-12 feet on my side. So I was going to paint it, but then looking at just a vast expanse of fence, I just thought better of it, and I just thought, actually, let nature do its work. Last year, I did buy one of these from a very reputable garden centre, and it didn't last 5 seconds in the garden. Put it in the ground and it was dead before I did the next garden tour. Went back over to try and film to show you how much growth there had been, and it wasn't even there. So I'm hoping I can do better this time. It's a bit bigger, say twice the size as the one that I bought last time, and it has got like a lot of new little flower buds forming on there. What I love about this, unlike a lot of other clematis, this is one of the rare ones that's actually evergreen. So when I say eat the fence, this should be there all year round. Beautiful leaves and stuff on that one, as you can see, but I also like the colour of the kind of stems, or whatever you want to call those. Like I say, it's supposed to be dark green foliage on there, fragrant star-shaped creamy white flowers in spring. Again, native to China, bit of a theme, as you can see. Hardy down to minus 10. I believe that's the top growth. Underneath will probably survive past that if you had a bit of a mulch. 14 Fahrenheit, kind of around about that kind of area. Flowers in early winter to late winter, sorry, to early spring. And these ones, when you plant the clematis, normally when you get a plant, you kind of bury it up to the pot level. These ones, I'm told you can bury a little bit deeper just before the first set of leaves on there. And what that should encourage is additional branching from underneath the ground. So they should shoot from underneath where the stem's under the ground. We'll see if that actually happens, because like I said, the last one I killed. So we'll see if I have better luck with this one. This is great for covering walls, fences, sheds, anything like that. And again, should be relatively easy, I imagine, to take cuttings and things from. So I should be eventually, over the next couple of years or so, be able to completely eat the fence that's behind me. That also saves me painting it every couple of years as well. So ideal for a little bit of lazy gardening as well. Can get 4 to 6 meters tall and 2 to 3 meters wide. So I'm going to hopefully have that across the entire garden. So put all that on there. I'll see if I can find any images online of the flowers and stuff as well, but most people would probably know about this one on there. And then very finally, I'm onto something that I've been after for a while. Here what we've got is the Eriobotrya Japonica, aka the Loquat Tree. It's turned up absolutely fantastic for being in the post. I bought 2 of these. I've been after them for a long time. Again, fully hardy. The people that I spoke to have said easy -5, -6, and some people said -8. Online it says they can go to -10. Let me know in the comments where you are in the country and if you've had any experience getting them past that. I'll probably wimp out on the first proper winter they're out there if I get anything kind of around that remit, unless I learn anything in the meantime. Probably throw a fleece bag over it or something like that, because I always bottle it when you put your hard-earned money into these things. But like I say, let me know in the comments if you've had any experience of getting these a little bit further than that. These need good drainage. It was one of the things that they banged on about everywhere online. So I will be digging in some perlite and some of the bits and bobs in, just to kind of free up the soil as well. They like a sheltered spot, so they're going to struggle a little bit in my garden. I'm going to put them to the test because where I live in Birmingham, I'm on like the peak, on both sides is quite significant drop in altitude, so we do get quite high winds where we are, and these apparently don't like that. I'm going to try and plant these in the ground. I've done the same as what I always do. I've went to a garden centre or gone online. I bought things I like the look of. I've got no plan as to where any of these things are going to go, but we always find a way, right? We always find a hole, or if not, I'll create one, and that's where they're going to go. Apparently they should get around about a foot or so of growth per year, which is great, to be honest with you. I'm hoping these get a little bit more, maybe a little bit more bushy. I don't know how they traditionally grow or if they can stem out or whatnot, so I'm looking forward to learning. These, apparently they get flowers in late autumn, early winter, which are scented, so I'm looking forward to seeing what that smells like, see if it can beat the Euphorbia John Phillips, because that's one of my favourite things that I've ever smelled. Absolutely great, and I love having these fragrant things around the garden because it really, really does smell nice. On a nice warm summer's day, and you're getting this waft coming through. Or like I say, with these ones, maybe later in the year, would be a nice thing as well. The max height, I always search for these. It said 4 to 6 meters tall is the maximum, but that'll be optimal conditions. That might not be what we can achieve in the UK. I've never really looked while I've been out and about or at different places, like doing the RHS places, to see if I can find one of these massive examples. So I just have to trust what online tells me. And then 2 to 3 meters wide, again, that will be optimal conditions where they come from. So if you've got a massive example, don't forget to put that in the comments as well, or what you would say is the average, because I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to put these as well. So that's the end of the plant haul. What I've tried to achieve today is to give you some examples, because when I'm watching one of the George videos or when I'm looking at Tiki Tropicals, sometimes for myself it's a little bit overwhelming because they've got so many things that I want. So you're kind of like online trying to buy everything all at once. This thing, for me, I'm going to have to kind of get into my mind that it's a bit of a journey. It's not something that I'm going to go and do all at once. I'm not a millionaire. I can't afford to just buy the garden as it is. So I'm trying to pick out the best bits from people's gardens and stuff like that. And like I say, I'm on a quest just to make sure that when I walk out here in the middle of winter, the garden still somewhat looks like it's been completed. I'm still going to buy the dahlias and add pops of colour in the garden, because I do like that. I do like having the cannas and stuff around, but what I don't enjoy is having the holes. I know you can't have one without the other, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the backbone in. As soon as that's done, I can then add the little pops around that, and then when I dig them up, hopefully the things like the viburnum and stuff won't leave a massive hole that should fill where I've taken those from. So if you've got any sensible suggestions of things that I can buy for a reasonable amount of money, then put that in the comments, because I'm still on the quest. I want to look for, if you've got any suggestions on any hardy ferns that will stay evergreen as well, anything for ground cover, and anything at all that you've got in your garden that you've tested in the UK, or if you're in a colder climate than that and it will survive, then I'm absolutely down for that. I've had an overwhelming response from the last video that I did, bigging up all the smaller channels like myself and everybody else. I picked up loads of subscribers, so thanks if you were one of those. It really does give me a massive boost every time I see the numbers going up. It makes it worth doing. As mad as that sounds, it's all about that at the end of the day, so I really do appreciate you clicking that subscribe button. If you liked anything from today, feel free again. I'm not going to do a massive hard sell. You either like it or you don't. But obviously feel free to click that as well. And like I said, I'm going to bring a load more of these videos as well. I'm still searching now, so pop some stuff in the comments and see if you're one of the ones that I pick from the next time. But thank you very much for watching. It is truly appreciated. Thank you.